The 1970s, a time when British youth and children alike, disillusioned with the exclusive and yuppie culture of British Reserve, made art that showed their discontent through popular culture in the country. I actually have no consistent evidence for that statement except like punk rock and Monty Python, but it helps me make my point about Monty Python and why did they become the first big appearance of everything comedy we see on the big screen today. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to give you absolutely no new perspective on the cult classic that every pretentious twat like me quotes on a semi-regular basis and why I think it inspired some of the best working comedians and shaped comedy in the pop culture today. The impact of Monty Python and the Holy Grail is so widely recognized and so glaringly obvious that the Academy, yes, those people in America who gather together to give themselves a pat on the back for being leading examples for society every year using film awards as an excuse, made a video talking about and celebrating Monty Python and the Holy Grail as an important feature-length movie that changed cinematic and television landscape for a comedy forever. You know how your dad talks about the good old days of the salty breeze of the sea in Mumbai, or his charming days in his village, or when cinema and club was a place of culture and glamour or whatever? He tends to leave out quite a few details about how it was also the time when riots broke out between Hindus and Muslims, or caste determined more so than anything in marriage or where you could live or where you could work, and the world was much worse of a shithole than it is right now. Your dad's stories, like his dad's stories, show the portrait of society to show the best versions of it to us so that we can guide ourselves to be better in life. Some French guy with a cigarette, no, not the sexy one I can't get over, the other one, no wait, the other one, yeah, him, called it a meta-narrative, a valuable lesson that a story tries to carry so that you have a better direction and understanding of how to live life properly. Monty Python made a bold move of taking the skeptic glasses to this narrative and questioned, is this really what it's portrayed to be? Chivalry and knighthood was the first one that they tackled with the whole King Arthur who came a lot narrative. What the fuck? That is not a clever joke, and I'm just as mad at myself for laughing as I am at you for making that joke. That is no reason to throw a plate at me when I'm working. Oh, stop it. Everyone who's watching knows it's scripted anyway. Like, it's a bit that you should have kept out of the sketch altogether. Well, I was actually hoping to shift back to the narrative in the most predictable way that a Monty Python sketch could have gone. I swear to God, if you do it, you and everyone watching will roll their eyes at you and for thinking it would be anything but cringy. It's too late. If we're recording this bit, then I'm gonna put it in. I'm not gonna edit this one out. It's a 1 whole minute. I'm gonna go find Arthur's sword, then stab myself, then stab the guy who's watching this, then stab your fucking face, and then your fucking feet, then your fucking dad, then everyone.
Get on with it! Yes! Get on with it!
Okay, fine. Awkwardly coming back to my point. It is clear that the lessons in chivalry that King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table teaches show them to be perfect. And a skeptic could guess just minutely looking at the details of the stories and histories parallel to them that the lessons taught by them were probably full of shit. King Arthur of the Monty Python universe is chivalrous and noble, but can't handle questioning based on reason from a member of syndicate anarchist commune created in the Britons in his absence. Brave and the bold Sir Robin runs away from the three-headed knight, something a brave knight would never do according to those values in these stories, but that doesn't matter because he silences the singers anyway. Sir Lancelot set aside the noble virtue of reason and justice for a call of rescue by a maiden, where he casually apologizes for killing half the wedding guests. And the list goes on for their hypocrisy and cowardice. Monty Python and the Holy Grail does the same to the institution of religion and the carrying meta-narrative. All portrayals of God are that of an irritated man-baby who is just as arrogant and mean as he sounds in the Old Testament. Not to mention, the visual representation of rituals that they make in the movie were just as hilarious as they were provocative at the time of the release. And it wouldn't be a stretch to say that people would do that in the 6th century Britain in the name of God. I mean, 20th century India wasn't much better, so. Monty Python even goes far enough to drag pragmatism and how people in authoritarian positions could misuse it anytime they wanted. The witch being measured with wood to confirm what society knew anyway is an amazing way of looking at one of the biggest problems I don't think Monty Python had to face at the time. The internet and the confirmation bias, and how we use disastrously inaccurate information to confirm ourselves. The point of the movie just seems to me to be skeptical of everything that has happened, everything that does happen, and everything that will happen. And this skepticism with the parody of the old paired with constant self-reflection became a philosophy of all things comedy that came after. Case in point, everybody's favorite Merc with a mouth. Between constant fourth wall breaks, awareness of the medium, and parody of the superhero meta-narrative, Deadpool seems to have paid homage to the Silly Six directly in their movie. They just didn't go far enough to say "'tis but a scratch" in an attempt to not sound nerdy. I mean, that's what I hope. While Rick and Morty, South Park, and The Simpsons don't really go that far every episode, but the influence of the parody of the meta-narrative is a constant in these works of art. Ever heard System of a Down? Well, it's never too late to be introduced to System of a Down. And I suggest you listen to them because they always write lyrics like, "Peter Spicker picked another pickle-bearing pussy, why?" Well, if you really thought about it, it could mean a lot of things when Serge and Darren write lyrics like this. It could mean that Peter only likes women with a married husband or a severe pickle fantasy. Not the point. But their delivery gives the impression of a non-sequitur joke. And, well, that influence comes from somewhere. The historian's gag in the movie, where a historian shows out of nowhere to be murder mid-sentence, and then a parallel investigation that runs across the movie, along with the Swedish subtitles in the beginning of the film or the changing title animation, are all examples of non-sequitur jokes. The genius in delivering a joke that is funny simply because it does not follow is that while it's super silly and accessible, it also shows your appreciation of the absurd. Your delivery matters a lot in these jokes. And the Holy Grail is fantastic at the job of just making these deliveries of non-sequitur jokes. Now, the sexy French philosopher I'm in love with came up with the idea that life is meaningless. Hence, give meaning to whatever you want as long as it makes you happy. Or better, it makes you laugh. If it makes you laugh, you're basically creating yourself to be the absurdist hero. Basically...
Go stupid! Go crazy! Go stupid! Go crazy! Yeah! Go stupid! Go...
I'm never good enough for you, am I? Monty Python's casual outlook to murder, but prolonged arguments over presence of coconuts in the Britons and how they got there, and whatever you label the fight with the rabbits, is in direct tandem with their appreciation and skill of performing absurdist comedy. You and I could see direct influences of absurdist and non-sequitur humor littered in popular culture. PewDiePie's blast transitions in You Laugh, You Lose are a direct replica of a scene from Now for Something Completely Different, or Rick and Morty's ridiculous premise of shock and surprise for every episode, all shows how this movie has bled its influence into everything we consume in media. This is the shortest segment of the video because it sort of ties everything I had to say together. To anyone who's seen the movies by Monty Python, it is clear that they don't give a fuck. This sort of ties in the two topics we discussed earlier in the video, and it is hilarious to see it in practice. A friend of mine told me an art form is trapped by structure and medium, and there is no escape from it. because even if there is absence of structure, that would create an alternate structure, and you can't communicate if you don't have a medium at all. And no other movie expresses its awareness of structure and medium like the Holy Grail and the frustration resultant from it. From the fourth wall breaks that last too long and following sequence of using movie complaining to get on with it, to the death of the animator in the middle of the action sequence, to King Arthur's arrest for the murder of the historian, ending the movie with no conclusion at all, creates the primordial soup from which all contemporary comedy will take birth. That's it, I think I can roll the outro and fuck off now.
And now for something completely different.